Welcome everyone to Faith Driven. I'm Elga.
And I'm Jennifer.
And today we have a very special guest we are so excited for, but I'm going to let Jenny introduce her because she co-wrote a book with her.
Yes, thank you. This is Miss Shawn Saxton. What an honor and a privilege to have a part of her collaboration or be a part of her collaboration. What an awesome experience to just even talk about domestic violence and where we've come from and where we are headed. So,
wow. Yeah, so talk a little bit, Miss Saxton, about your book.
So the book is called A Tribe Out of Domestic Violence. The Tribe Out of Domestic Violence was given to me over 10 years ago. The Lord gave me the vision to write a book with women coming out of domestic violence. It was no name. It just was right about women in their experience coming out of DV.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your past experience and what, either a domestic violence story or what brought you to even writing the book. So a little bit about your background.
So I do have a background in domestic violence. I came out of domestic violence. I experienced domestic violence for about 13 and a half years. That's not the piece in the book that I'm writing about. Okay. I am honestly writing about before I was in domestic violence that I knew about domestic violence. So my piece in the book is about stalking. And I didn't know that was domestic violence until the Lord started uncovering the domestic violence that I was in prior to what I knew as domestic violence. So that's what I'm writing about in A Tribe Out of Domestic Violence. Wow. We have 9 of us all together. It's 8 co-authors, phenomenal women with phenomenal stories, and I just thank God for Jennifer, because when the Lord did give me the vision of writing about domestic violence, I told Jennifer about it, and that was over 10 years ago. And I am so honored that she took the charge to want to write about her journey in domestic violence.
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me, and it is an honor. It is an honor to be able to share your testimony, not only just sharing the platform with one person, but 9 other women is such an honor. And for me, how did you choose your women for the book? What made you lean towards this person or ask this person? What brought you to that point?
Because the book was basically, it was prophetic, and from the beginning when God gave me the vision. So when I didn't really choose the women were there. Mm-hmm. They were presented to me by the Lord. Some of them I did not know, but answering questions, I knew that they were supposed to be a part of the book.
Right.
Because there were women also that I spoke to that I was like, no, they're not a part of the book. So it wasn't my choice. It was the Lord guided me, and I just was obedient to the Spirit of the living God.
That's good.
This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it's so interesting because I have spoken to many women being in the psychology field that I am in, and a lot of women don't even realize that they're in a domestic violence relationship until it's really far in.
Yes.
I speak to so many women that the first thing is like, they don't love themselves. That's first of all. But second of all, they either feel like they can change them or they feel guilt upon them. And that's just what I've heard.
2 points.
So, yes.
2 points. It's not so much as they don't love themselves, is the point that their self-esteem has been stripped.
Okay.
So they don't even know who they are anymore. The other point was, they get so far in it, they don't even know that they're in it.
Right.
And they don't even know what, like I hear a lot of them say, oh, he's not verbally abusing me. He loves me. That's not, no, he wouldn't do such a thing to me.
What are some signs and symptoms?
And you're right. You're right. He loves them, but And that's because their whole self has been stripped away. So if I'm stripped away, I'm no longer mine. And you know what? If we as women in the body of Christ, if we get to that point, and men, if we get to that point that we're stripped away, then people see more of Christ. The same way a victim, you could see the victim in domestic violence. So if we use that in the body of Christ, we're doing real good. Right. But it's so unfortunate that women and men are stripped away, that they don't know who they are no more once they're in domestic violence.
And they also, both sides, men and women, also feel that what they're being told is the truth about them.
Right. Thank you for reminding me, because this is what I was going to say. So often we were taught that if a man beat me, he loves me. No, that's not true. that comes from the old adage, he beat me because he loved me. That's tradition. That is just tradition. Right. And that's what happens. Right. But we already know that's a lie from the pit of hell.
What are some forms of abuse? Can you give us some forms of abuse for the audience?
Stalking. I didn't know stalking was domestic violence. I didn't know that until we're not supposed to mention names.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, stalking is a part of domestic violence.
I did not know that.
Yes,
I've been in domestic violence.
I didn't know it until the Lord showed me when He said, use that stalking. You know, so stalking. We have mental abuse. You're fat. No one's gonna ever want you.
Yeah. You can't do it without me.
You can't do it without me.
That's right.
You know, mental. Then we have that emotional. Then we have that financial abuse.
Oh yes.
You know, withholding of money.
That's it.
You know, that's domestic violence.
Yes, it is.
You know, we have sexual abuse. You know, I'm just going to take it because I'm your husband. No.
Right.
That is still, it's still a crime.
Yes.
You know, you just don't take what you want to take from someone.
Right.
So we have different forms of domestic violence. How about this? You know, you want to change the way somebody dress. You want to change the way they wear their hair.
Right.
Yes, you want to change the lipstick color they wear because it's not appealing to you, but it was when I met you. You know, so domestic violence is subtle. It's not that someone's going to come and tell you all this stuff up front.
Right.
No, it's true. Very, very subtle.
It creeps in like the devil.
Yes, just like that old Satan.
And that's such a great point too, that sometimes we don't even recognize that we're even going through it, that we're even experiencing it because it is so subtle.
Yes.
You know, I know for me personally, I went through domestic violence myself twice in prior relationships, and I didn't realize that just the little snide comments that were made is a form of abuse. Demeaning. Belittling.
Yes.
And saying, but I'm just telling you the truth. I'm being real.
There you go.
Now you're being hurt.
There you go.
You are hurt people.
That's true.
So you are hurting someone and you're taking jabs at them.
Yes.
And you're kicking them when they're down.
You're kicking them when they're down, you know. And it's just the subtle stuff. It's almost like I was on an interview yesterday and I was talking about it. And it's almost like an onion. When you peel away at someone's self-esteem, you know, you're breaking them down. And the strongest part of the onion is the middle of it, the core of it. So once you peel at their self-esteem and you get to the core, there's no more.
Yeah.
You can do what you want to do.
Broken.
That's because you done broke them.
That's right. That's right. And it's hard to come back from that.
Right.
How do you come back from that? First of all, how do you get out of that?
And how do you recognize it?
First of all, how you recognize it. Then, secondly, how do you get out of it?
Okay, so how do you get out of that? That's a process. I think we need to just pray because sometimes going through domestic violence, we get alienated. We alienate our loved ones.
That's true.
Ourselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? So by the time you recognize that you're in domestic violence, you don't have no more friends.
Right.
Because they're all gone.
That's right.
They left
That's
because
true.
they think you was being They think you was being nasty, but all along you was being conditioned
Right.
to remove them so you don't have the friends. So it takes longer to get out of that domestic violence
Right.
situation.
Wow.
You know,
Yes.
if you ever get out of it.
Yes.
Some people don't make it out
Some
alive.
people don't make it out alive, you know, and thank God, all three of us,
Yes, thank you.
we can tell our own
Yes,
story
thank you,
when
God.
we decide to tell our story.
Yes.
Because
Right.
guess what? We're not telling our story from the grave.
Right.
Someone is not telling our story. We're telling our own story.
Right.
So God has allowed us to get out of a situation that someone else could have been telling our story for us.
Wow.
Wow,
That's,
yes.
that's powerful.
Yes.
That's something, because really, you're right. There are some women that their family members are telling their story. Their loved ones, their children.
Their children.
You know, how are children affected in a domestic violence situation? You know, is there help out there for, you know, even maybe some of our viewers that are in it right now and, you know, they don't know what to do or they don't know where to go?
The Domestic Violence National Hotline. I don't know if it's running across the screen, but you could look. There's a national hotline in all 50 states. It's just a hotline. But if you look in your region, wherever you're located, look it up. There's organizations. There is help out there, but you have to be
You have to
willing.
want it.
You have to want
There
it.
it
You have to
is.
be willing to say enough is enough. I can't take it no more. But no one could do that but you. No one. You're not stupid because you're in domestic
No, not
violence.
at all.
It's
No,
nothing
not at
stupid
all.
about you being in domestic violence. It's it affects all of us. It could affect black, white, sunshine, yellow, rich,
Right.
poor,
Right.
the suburbs to the project to the trailer park. It doesn't matter. It could affect the mayor's wife. It could affect the president's wife. It could affect the chief of police.
Right.
It could affect any one of us at any given time.
Right.
Domestic violence, no boundaries.
And also, you know, as you were talking and I'm thinking about, you know, not only the victims, but the people who are the abusers,
Yeah.
you know, they also are so broken
Yes.
because they are
Yes.
intimidated by the person they're with, or maybe they didn't get enough hugs when they were younger.
Or maybe
You
they
know?
themselves
Yeah.
went through
Yes.
domestic
Yes.
violence
Yes.
or grew up
Yes.
in a domestic
Yes.
home.
Because
domestic
you know,
home.
and I'm not excusing anyone's behavior, but we also have to look at that as well.
Yes.
Like I said earlier,
true.
hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
Right.
And there is always an underlining reason why someone is
Absolutely.
acting a certain way or feeling that they, you know, can't allow.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I don't know if that's a good word, but be okay with their girlfriend wearing a certain lipstick and no
Right.
longer being okay with it. That is something underlining that, you know, has taken root. And
Control.
where,
Control.
and where did that
Control.
control come from?
Right.
Is it because they lost control somewhere along the way?
They wasn't in control.
Ooh,
So then they
wow.
said, you know what? This will never happen to me. I will not let anyone do this to me. And it's almost like a defense mechanism. So I'm going to get you before you get me. So
Wow.
the closest person to get is the person that you love.
There
Yes.
it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's control.
Yes.
true.
Yes. Oh my gosh, control. That is like it's very powerful because, you know, we recognize it in the
Right.
world.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
everywhere,
Right.
even in politics, you know,
Right.
the loss of control, how people just can go to another level just because
Yes.
they feel like they're not in control of
Yes.
things that are going
Right.
on or situations.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but the women that are part of the book collaboration, where are they from? Are they from what areas? You know.
The women come from different parts of the country.
Wow,
We
that's
have
awesome.
we have women from Texas. We have women from Florida. Texas and Florida. We have women that and mind you, all of the women are quote unquote professional women. So it's not that the women they were just in the trailer park. They was just in the project. No, these women are all professional, educated women.
But just to go off your point, exactly, like anyone can be a victim of domestic violence.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with anything. I've seen people where, their spouses, are doctors and physicians.
Yes.
And because they have so much pressure, again, I'm not excusing it,
Right.
but they take it out on the closest person to them, which
loved
is the
ones.
wife.
Their loved
Yes.
So we have that. We have, we was blessed to have a licensed therapist. She contribute, and when I asked her and I says, have you ever, she says, I'm not even going to tell you what she said, but you got to get the book. But yeah, you got to read the book. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then we have one that's talking about the financial part of domestic violence, because this book is not just a bunch of women just sounding off on men that abuse them. This book is more or less education. It's not
because domestic violence, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's to clarify, like domestic violence can happen whether it's a spouse or a parent.
Yes.
Or, it's not like just a spouse can be domestic violence.
Right.
It could be a friend.
Yeah.
Any relationship.
Any
that you have.
relationship. But it's not just talking about, we in domestic violence, we got beat down. No. It's more education.
Survivors.
We're survivors.
Yes.
We got education. It's, you'll be able to, write about it. You'll be able to journal in the back of the book. It's different in nature. It's not your ordinary domestic violence book. It's just different in nature.
I can't wait to
That's
read
awesome.
it. So if a woman came to you, just for an example, or a male came to you and said, I really, really love my spouse and I'm trying to make it work, but we're in this toxic relationship and we go at each other, fighting, yelling and screaming. I'm abusive to him. He's abusive to me. How do we stop the horrible train of violence towards each other? Because let's be honest, we're domestic violence can happen to any one of us, but we can also do it to each other without even realizing what we're doing. So what would you
said
tell?
was key. She said, but we love each other. So what I would say is that you guys need to get a mental health therapist real quick, because the key is you love each other and you recognize what you're doing to one another.
Wow.
So that's what I would say to them. You love each other. You just crazy. You don't
know how to love.
You don't know how, and you're
don't know how to
toxic.
love.
So
You also don't know how to communicate.
you don't know how to communicate.
Right.
So I would say, you know what? The key, you love each other. You recognize the hurt. So I would just refer them to, someone in the mental health field, a therapist, someone that could, or marriage counselor, someone that could work out, because, key, you love each other. You don't know how to communicate.
Right.
But it's some things that you could work with.
Yeah.
You could work with some things.
True.
You
You can work with love.
Yes,
Yeah.
your relationship,
Right.
but you got to work on communication skills.
Right.
We got to do some communication skills.
What are some tools for women that may or may not know where to go?
Again, right there, if you love each other, okay, a marriage counselor, mental health, because it's some stuff in there that's in the root. It's some rooted stuff there.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's some rooted stuff there. So for me, I don't try to fix nobody. I'm going to give it to the people that get paid for it, because I don't get paid to fix your issues.
Right.
But
how did you get out of it?
How did I get out of it? Well, okay, so we're not talking about my part, because my stalking came before my children.
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta wait for the.
Okay.
You gotta wait for the
book.
stuff.
Okay.
book.
But I mean, in general,
Okay,
like
how
you're
to-
not a therapist, and we don't want to share too much of the
Right.
book because we want you to go out and get the book.
Right.
But just if a friend came to you and said, I really love this person, I want to change this person, but I
But you
feel
can't change people.
There
That's
it
where
is.
I would
There it is. That's what I'm
you
saying.
cannot
You can't
change
change.
people. Stop
Right.
wanting to change people. If you want to change somebody, change yourself.
There it
Yes.
You cannot
Yes.
change somebody else. You just got to learn and change how you love that person. Stop wanting to change people.
Right.
That's probably what's ticking them off. That you want to
You're
change.
trying to change. You're forcing.
Yes,
You're
don't
forcing.
Well, maybe they're changing them because they don't like you. Oh, hold on, I don't like you, so can we change some things up?
No, right? Don't change people. Change the way you love them. Change the way you think that they need to be changed. Change how you relate with them.
Right.
You know, because as women, we could be a little smarter than men. We think a little longer than men when men not thinking. Men, love language is love. Men don't think the way we think.
They love differently.
They're
They're
love
not
differently.
emotional.
They're not emotional.
Their acts of service.
Right.
Their acts of service is different. So we have to know our partners. I don't like that word. We have to know our husbands. You
A
know,
lot of patience.
right. We have to know their love language. And
very
when
good.
we even have to know our friends' love language.
Yes.
And when we know that a friend don't like certain things, our spouses don't like certain things, then we have to change the way we interact with
Right.
people. Instead of always, I don't want to change you. I don't want to change you.
Right.
What I want to change is how I deal with you.
How I'm reacting
How I
towards
react.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
That's what
That's
I
good.
want to change. Instead, and that eliminates a lot of problems
Right,
sometimes.
right.
If I know you don't like going out and you want to watch the football game on a Sunday, well, I'm not going to have friends over and do certain things. So sometimes
Right.
we have to learn how to relate to people.
Right.
Instead of wanting to change them.
Right, and that's respect.
Right.
Respect, communication. You noted,
Right.
communicating with one another and really feeling, finding out how to react to
Right.
certain things.
But Ms.
or how to
Saxon
deal
said
with certain things.
a really great point, which, I don't want to lose sight of that point of when you said we have to learn how to react to certain people. But I also think what happens is that that's also how sometimes domestic violence can get started.
Right.
The person, the individual can say, well, I'm going to compromise myself in this area, or I'm going to compromise the way I react in a certain area. But then the other individual maybe perhaps in the beginning was willing to meet you that way.
Right.
And then later on, that person no longer wants to meet you in
But
that
listen
way.
to this.
Right.
Never compromise.
Good key.
Never
Yeah,
compromise.
great key.
Never compromise. Because once you compromise, you open up the door for what you don't want.
Wow.
And
Wow.
if you
Wow.
want something, you will not compromise. This is my stance.
Standards.
That's it. That's it. Standards.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
I'm not going to compromise. But we could talk about what you like and what you don't like. It's almost like when I was raising children. It was this is what I like and this is what I don't like.
Right.
I'm not giving you 3 choices because you're going to send me cuckoo.
Yeah.
So I just need
Right.
2.
That's
what
it.
I want and what I don't want.
But
That's
you,
it. Right.
but your confidence seeps through. So when a young person, for an example, gets into a relationship, and that's great advice, making a great point
Right.
of not compromising yourself. But not everybody, they want to be with someone so bad or with that person so badly that at the beginning they don't come out and say, "Oh, these are all my flaws.
Right.
These are what I'm going to accept.
Right.
What I'm not going to accept." Okay,
Right.
they're like, well, maybe I can deal with that. Let me
Right.
just kind of see and see
Right.
what happens.
And see, that's
but that
where
comes
we-
with confidence.
And,
That's true.
and that's where we have to start teaching young people not to compromise at a young age, because then they'll grow and then they'll get older and then the cycle goes on and we continue to do what we don't want.
Wow.
And we
Wow.
continue to give what we don't want. So what we need to do is to continue to say, no, you don't compromise, and that starts young. And I think if we start teaching our girls
Right.
certain things and teaching our boys certain
Yes,
things,
that's
we
good.
could
Yes.
probably get rid of all this domestic violence.
We could break the cycle.
Yes.
break the
We could
cycle.
break the cycle, and
Yes.
we hope that our next generation can.
Yes.
You know, we don't want to live in a world
No.
of violence. We don't
Right.
want to live in a world of us not being united.
Right.
You know, in a friendship, in a marriage,
Yes.
in a partnership.
Yes.
You know?
And
that's breaking
leading
the cycle.
our children and everything by example.
Right.
Yes, by
When
example.
somebody gets us, you know,
Right.
crazy and our children are watching,
Yes.
yes. I'm going to take a deep breath
Yes.
and I'm going to take a step back because my
Yes.
child is watching
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
going to do
Right.
what's in the
That's
best
true.
interest of my child
That's right.
instead of going ham.
Right,
That's true.
that's right. That's right.
Right.
You know, and in every day we face situations like that when we go into the store.
Always.
Because we meet a Karen out there.
There it is.
Karen is acting out.
There it is. Right now.
You know? Yes, so that's a perfect time.
Right.
It's a teachable moment.
Teachable
Yes.
moment.
It's a teachable
Teachable
moment. So we don't
yes.
do
Right.
anything. So you know, and then we says that's how you handle
Yes.
it.
Right,
Even
right.
when someone cuts in front of us.
Yes,
we're
there it is.
automatically going crazy.
Right.
You know, but then you all of a sudden, at least it's happened to me,
too.
you go up a little bit further and there's an accident. And you're
Yes,
like,
and
man,
God was holding
thank
me back
God
from
he was
that."
holding me back from
Yes.
that
Yes.
accident.
Yes.
You
And I
know,
love that.
but we get into these heated things and we don't even realize that our
Yes.
kids are watching.
They're watching us.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they're watching everything that
We're
we do.
their
So they're like,
first
you want,
teachers.
yes, so you want us to lead by example and you
Yeah.
want us to not curse them
But
out.
you just
you're-
cursed
Somebody out, right?
Right.
Right.
So domestic violence is rooted in us because I don't know about you ladies, but I've seen it growing up. You know, I saw it growing
Right.
up. So even to the point when we spank our children. Come on, we got to learn different ways now.
Right.
I don't know, the timeout don't work, but I don't suggest the spanking part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we gotta
Right.
communicate.
Communicate
You know,
with
we
them.
gotta and reinforcement.
That's it. That's it.
reinforcement.
And consistency.
Repetition.
Yep.
Yes.
Consistency with them
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah.
Consistency as well. Well, you mentioned the book. Where
Yes.
can we find
Yes,
the book?
where can we find
So you could find the book. I'm on Facebook. Sean Lovely Saxon on Facebook. Jennifer Ellington is on Facebook.
Yes.
All of the other co-authors are on Facebook, but it's a page, a tribe out of domestic
Yes.
violence. It's on Facebook.
Yes.
We have a book signing coming up
Yes.
October the 9th at
Yes.
the Carrollwood Cultural Arts Center
Yes.
from 5:30 to 6:30 or 6:30 to 7:30.
Right.
So come out, meet the authors, have some
Yes.
fun with us, and get to know your neighborhood
Tribe.
authors.
Right.
Neighborhood
Awesome.
tribe.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
being a part of our show. We're
Thank you
so
for
blessed to
having me.
have
Yes.
you and have such a great example of overcoming
Yes.
and the light that comes after overcoming such a bad situation,
Yes.
even though we have to get to the book to
Yes,
find the
get the book.
stalking. But thank you guys so much for watching this week, and we look forward to next week. And for today, I'm Elga.
And I'm Jennifer.
And this is Faith Driven.